My name is Sarah Dunant. I studied history at Newnham College during the early 1970s, and I went on to become a journalist and a cultural commentator and also a novelist and broadcaster. So the words history and Newnham, it seems to me, are indelibly linked. If you go back as far as 1871, when Newnham College is founded, it actually enters the history books as one of the first and one of the painfully few academic institutions of higher education which are founded precisely to allow women to have the same level of higher education that up until then has only been open to men. So Newnham and history start very early as part of, if you like, the first wave of feminism. But I think it's its impact also in the second wave that's really important. And to this extent, I have a sort of ringside seat on it because I was a very young student in the early 1970s, eager and very excited by history itself. And in the years following that, if you like, in the half century following that, we have seen a seismic change in how not only has feminism made an impact on the present, it's changed society dramatically, bringing the equality of women, but it's also changed the way we perceive and make and see history itself. Because up until then, history was largely a discipline that had been founded by men, had been practiced by men, had been written by men and taught by men, and had largely been about male exploits, the story, if you like, of the dead white males. But with the introduction of more and more women studying history and more women teaching history and being trained in it, what you had is an interrogation of the past. And so suddenly, looking at new sources, going into archives, you started to tell, if you like, a history of everybody, as opposed to a history of just men. And the training of historians, and the training particularly of historians at women's colleges, was incredibly important for that. For instance, my own career over the last 25 years has been about writing historical novels about the lives of women within the Italian Renaissance, their experiences, their vicissitudes, their triumphs. This was a history that I can get accurate in the novels, but I could never have written the novels even 30 years ago, because we simply didn't have that information. And that information has come from women historians, mainly women historians, doing work. So history, as seen through the eyes of women, has changed the past as well as it's changed the present. And I think that that's an extraordinary achievement. But I actually think there's another reason why history has to be taken seriously at this moment. We are living in an increasingly polarized world, politically and culturally. The revolution when it comes to technology and the way it's been processed through, if you like, the broad sweep of consumer capitalism has meant that information is available to absolutely everybody. Now, at one level, that's an incredible force for the good. But at another level, what we're starting to see is the manipulation of information. If you like, even the manipulation of truth, even the distortion of facts. And that has made a political and cultural battleground in which we need people in order to come in and tell us what actually is happening and what happened. As a journalist, I did an investigation going down one of those rabbit holes of the internet into look at the conspiracy theory that was growing out of America 4 or 5 years ago, QAnon, which was basically an extreme right-wing political conspiracy. And what I discovered there was that commentators were using information, not just from the present, but from the past, to make people believe their theory of what the truth, in inverted commas, was. And to do that, they were actually making up bits of history or distorting them. So it feels to me, at this moment in time when we're having a big discussion about should we be funding sciences in higher education or should we be funding the humanities, that actually history is a very key tool to keep us on the straight and narrow. Because what history does is it gives you a discipline, an analysis, an ability to have a critical thinking and a context with which to be skeptical both about what you're being told in the present, and then also to be skeptical about how a political movement, one way or the other, is actually manipulating the past. So the training of being a historian now, I think, is vital, if you like, to the health of the body politic, which is, I suppose, why I'm sitting here now, because I do truly believe that history, and history as it's taught and learned, and history as a cultural force in a college like Newnham, is extremely important, not just for the impact it's made on the past, but for our ability to move forward into the future.